External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has issued a strong caution to the United States and Europe, warning that their increasingly strict immigration rules could end up damaging their own long-term interest. Speaking at the India's World Annual Conclave 2025, Jaishankar said that global talent mobility is not a one-sided benefit, and that Western nations would become net losers if they erect too many barriers to skilled professionals. The minister emphasized that in a democracy, people naturally move to where better opportunity exists, and government cannot and should not force professionals to stay back. He said the real solution lies in expanding opportunities at home, while simultaneously convincing Western governments that skilled migration is mutually beneficial. Jaishankar stressed that retaining talent requires action on both ends. India must expand its skilled workforce and sustain high economic growth to create enough jobs to absorb this talent. He warned that without sustained high growth rates, India will struggle to retain its best minds.
Well, I think a lot of these are issues, Raj, which they have to resolve. Because in many cases, the actual crisis has nothing to do with the mobility of the incoming workforce. I mean, if there are concerns, let us say, in the United States or even in Europe, it is because they very consciously and deliberately over the last 2 decades allowed their businesses to relocate. You know, that was their choice, it was their strategy. So if there is pressure on jobs in many of the developed countries, the pressure on jobs is less because people came in those sectors. It is more because they allowed manufacturing to go out, and you know where. Yeah. So I think they have to find ways of fixing it, and many of them are, you know, because if you see, it isn't only about concerns about immigration or mobility. It is also about loss of jobs and about recreating manufacturing and pulling back, you know, what was allowed to leave over many decades. So I can't give you a simple answer to it, but the part which concerns us is to convince them that mobility, the use of talent across boundaries, is to our mutual benefit. That they would be net losers if they actually erect too many roadblocks to the flow of talent. And particularly if you move into an era of advanced manufacturing, if you know, you will need more talent, not less talent. Yeah. And talent cannot be organically developed at a high rate. You know, there is a certain structural impediment out there. So and in their own societies, you can see the tension. You know, often the people in the forefront of entrepreneurship and technology would actually make the case for mobility. It is the people who I would say have a certain political base or a constituency to address who may oppose it, and they will probably reach some modus vivendi there.
So some kind of a new balance between the economic and political should be worked out.
Yes, but also some kind of new balance between the mobility of people and the mobility of work. You know, if it becomes harder for people to travel, you know, the work's not going to stop, okay? So if people don't travel, the work will travel.
So is it insourcing or outsourcing? I mean, no, there is a third contradiction. I mean, while exporting talent...
Last two, by the way, didn't end up as contradictions.
You're trying to resolve them. Yeah. But third one is really, you know, is one thing to export talent, but you also, your domestic needs for the same talent are also growing as you try to do more manufacturing, more advanced technologies, more medical doctors. In every field where migration we've seen grow, there are also domestic needs, and I already see the government talking about returnees or facilitating some talent coming back. So where do you see this tension playing itself out? I mean,
you know, I don't want this to seem political, but this is actually a statement of fact. As a sort of a sweeping proposition, the number of educational institutions in this country in the last 10 years have doubled over what they were in the 60 odd years they were before that. What actually happened was after the first spurt, we somewhere plateaued. You and I are of the same generation. Probably when we left school, there were 5 IITs in the country. Till when we hit the our middle age, there were still 5 IITs in the country. The manner in which, I'm just using IIT as a shorthand, don't take it literally. But the manner in which, let us say, our engineering schools, our technical schools, our medical schools, our nursing institutions, take whichever field. We didn't see, if you had a certain growth rate, it made common sense your capacities should have paralleled the growth of your economy. It didn't happen. So it's actually been, in the last 10 years, there's been this huge emphasis on increasing capacity. And why I say that to you is, you are not going to solve this problem, this apparent contradiction you refer to. You can't tell people, don't go out to work.
It's a freedom of movement.
We're a democratic society. They have a freedom to travel. If they get better prospects, of course they will look at it. The common sense thing is to create opportunities at home. To create opportunities at home, you need to address both the demand side and the supply side. The supply side means you've got to, keep increasing your output of skilled and talented people. And the demand side would be, unless you are able to post, sustained high growth rates, you're not going to be able to, find opportunities for their employment and retention.
His remarks come at a time when the US, under President Donald Trump, is tightening immigration norms, especially work visas like the H-1B. Across Europe too, anti-immigration pressures are rising, fueled by political narratives blaming migrants for job losses. Jaishankar pointed out that these tensions stem not from talent mobility itself, but from decades-long Western decisions to shift manufacturing overseas. For more such stories, keep watching DNA.